Welcome to Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa, and thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on the video. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, soul family. In any event, I'm happy that you're here. I do not believe in any accidents, so you're here right on time, and again, welcome. This is a little bit different today. I wasn't entirely sure that I was going to share the reading that I'm about to share with you because truthfully, it is a personal reading. Yesterday, as I was addressing some of the comments that have come on the channel and especially dealing with a couple of the trolls and things, I was in the middle of doing some research for upcoming videos for the family, and suddenly I just found myself picking up some decks of cards that I genuinely, one of them, several of them I haven't used on the channel or personally in a long time, but I cleansed them real quick and wound up pulling some cards for myself. And then after I really got into looking at them, I was debating whether I was going to share it or not, but I wound up with a point of unexpected validation for myself that it also let me know that it's probably something that I need or will want to share with you all as well. During the course of the past few years, as I've been healing and growing and kind of letting spirit take me where it will, I have found that some of the deeper things that I had to address in my own personal healing, when I let go of the need for validation for those things, then suddenly, unexpectedly, they would come to me. One of the biggest things that I had questions about, or not even questions, I would say a point of pain, if you will, was about things in my past, not personally, because again, like I said it before, I've learned to bless all of my mess. I understand that as painful as some of the steps were, that every step has brought me to here. And because of that, I can't regret any of it, except the mother in me still from time to time battles with regret for the fact that I took my children through it with me. Now, again, and pardon me, I am an emotional, I'm an empath, I'm a watering pot, so please ignore if the tears fall a little bit. When I'm in flow, they come. When I really feel strongly about something, they come. But I'm going to try to get through it without being a complete mess, because I think it's still important, especially because I've been receiving in the comments that a lot of you all are kind of resonating, and truthfully, I'm not surprised about that at all. I set the intention to draw in soul family. And because of that, I know that a lot of the chosen ones, I hear so much resonance in the readings that I've been drawn to. So I have no doubt in my mind that the people that are drawn to my messages, there will be some resonance there as well. The path of the chosen is not easy. Like I said, we ain't chosen because it's cute. We're chosen because I don't know if we were too stubborn. Like I said, I think we took the crash and burn Super Dave entry into this experience partially for our healing, so that we could work through some of those difficult lessons and karmic things and soul ties and ancestral healing for our lineages and on, all of that. But one of the things that made me really decide that I wanted to share this, I got the message for myself, and then I went on and pulled some decks for the readings that I have upcoming for you all. But I wanted to share this one before I get into the work for the day for the family, because after I had finished my recordings for yesterday and all that stuff, I actually received a beautiful validation that I wasn't looking for, but truthfully, it broke me in the best way. I think I've mentioned it before on the channel. I know I've mentioned it before. Human nature is such that 50 people could tell you something positive, and one person come along and kick all of that over with a thoughtless word or sometimes deliberately hateful, whatever. And that seems to be the thing that sticks in our spiritual cross, so to speak, harder. That it literally cancels out the other 50 positive things. All we can really focus on is that one negative thing. And it's kind of been that way for me with healing a lot of the trauma around my past, the choices that I made, the things that I've been through, how it affected my children, what kind of parent was I, all of those things. And part of that's because I do, and I've mentioned it before, I have 4 offspring. I can't say children because they're all grown now. My baby is 25. So, it's not that they're baby babies, but the the youngest one literally had more than the other 3 combined because of my relationship and dealings with her father. However, of everything that's gone through, even though on the surface it seemed like more, she wound up being the one that was most traumatized. And she caused me quite a lot of trauma and rethinking things. And it's not that I believed what she said, but it's just knowing whether her perceptions are accurate or not, they're her perceptions. And I know that it caused her a point of pain, so it caused me a residual point of pain. Now, the validation for me didn't even come through her. It came through a conversation I had with my oldest daughter. They had reached out and they've been in communication with each other. And like I said, I'm at a point where I'm speaking with the other one again, and we're all good. But very often I'm unaware of the conversations they have outside of my presence. And my oldest made me aware of a conversation that she had had with the youngest, and the youngest kind of got snippety and started on some of her stuff. And the way my oldest shut her down, she shared the text messages with me, and I'm not going to get into all of that because I don't want to, if she does wind up reading this, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast or on Front Street because, again, like I said, everybody is entitled to their perceptions. I'm not trying to invalidate her experience at all. I feel for her because I'm aware that her perceptions and the way she feels are a point of unhealed traumas that she's not addressing. Look, 90% of us, especially if you were raised by Gen Z, Gen X parents or boomers or whatever, just the way things were in this paradigm, most of us could benefit from some kind of therapy or counseling or whatnot. And sometimes life gives it to us as we age and mature. Sometimes some people carry that hurt as a signature that makes it so hard for them, they genuinely rewrite their past even more uncomfortably than it has to be. And it's that way with this particular instance. But when I was speaking with my daughter, and she shared what she said like I said, she shared the text with me so I could read the conversation that they had. And it made me feel seen in a way that I have never felt seen before. I was just busy beating myself up about the things that I couldn't give them and the things that went wrong and the poor choices that I made and how their daddy, the traumas that they took us through and all that kind of stuff, because we did wound up, I wasn't born into poverty, but because of my relationship choices it ain't just that. I lost, I was, I didn't, I'm not going to say I lost. I was ejected from my entire family in my early 20s due to religious differences. Like I said, I was raised by Jehovah's Witnesses. When I didn't toe the line and I got in trouble and was disfellowshipped, I just decided I didn't want to go back because I just saw too many things that I couldn't really reconcile with. But because of their religious policies, my entire family is still in that. So overnight, literally overnight, I lost my entire family, all of my friends, and had zero, when I say zero, zero support system for many, many years. Many years. And most of that time was when I was raising my children, because by then, like I said, I had them. And by not knowing how to properly vet relationships or what to look for. As an imbalanced empath, I was used to keeping my head down, wanting to please people, just trying to make waves. And I had this ideal of what I was told family life was supposed to look like, but I tried to convince myself that the religious ties weren't going to matter. So I wound up with some very emotionally painful relationships, and children did come out of those relationships. But I've had beautiful redemptive conversations with like I said, three of the four children over the years. So I was able to release a lot of that, but just to understand that they've gotten to a point that they truly understand and don't hold any, like I say, they hold me completely harmless for what happened, and truthfully have reached a point in time where they can even kind of bless the mess and understand that even though it was uncomfortable at times, it truthfully equipped them for life in ways that the perfect life with the white picket fence and the da 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 da. If I had tried to stay with that, I would have had to stay within a belief system that goes against the grain for everything they believe in as well, now that they're old enough to make a choice. I struggled a long time with not instilling Christianity deep down into them when I still was under the impression that that was the way to go. I just thought that I had just chosen the wrong sect of Christianity. And I even, like I said, after I left them, I even got baptized in the Baptist church. I was genuinely trying to do the right thing. It just never found the fit. So when my daughter, she was telling me, she was like, I have these conversations with her brothers, she was mentioning all the time. And she said to me, she said, I realize that you were cut short in your development. You had been sheltered unfairly your entire life and then tossed out into the world. And that you were literally trying to raise us and yourself at the same time. And you had a lot of people kicking at you in ways that really wasn't fair. But over it all, the one thing that they got out of it, and that's the one thing that I wanted to make sure that they got out of it, was that they understood the love. And she was saying, we didn't have a lot financially, but she told her sister, she was like, in a million years and a million lifetimes, I would never choose anybody else as my mother to go through this life with, because regardless of whatever we didn't have physically or financially, especially once she got older and got more social, she realized that there were a lot of her friends that had a lot more stuff. They had the Jordans and the True Religion and the fancy purses and the this and that and all of that good stuff. But they genuinely, a lot of her friends had a lot of deeper traumas and way more jacked up lives than we did. Yeah, we had poverty to deal with, but we had each other, and we had a pure love. They had a parent that would listen. They had a parent that treated them fairly. They had a parent that didn't rotate men over top of them that they could get molested and, otherwise damaged for, and those kinds of things. And a lot of the lessons that they taught, that they learned, I wasn't even deliberately sitting down trying to teach them at that time. But now that they're adults and I get to hear it come back and realize they were picking up a lot of gems along the way, it just, like I said, she truly helped me. And she wasn't even attempting to. She was just telling me what had happened was and what she said to her sister. But it made me feel seen and heard in a way that I really genuinely hadn't. And then it kind of came full circle when I really went and looked at the cards that I had drawn about the things that I'm doing now, because when Spirit made it very clear to me that I was going to have to be in the public space, and I was like, okay, well, what am I, again, I was raised old school. What happens here stays here. You don't share your dirty, you don't air your dirty laundry kind of thing. And I realize now that a lot of people that say those things, is because they know that they traumatized you deeply, and they're very embarrassed to have those stories told. Not that you did anything wrong, but they don't want to be seen in an unfavorable light. I know for a fact, and I was explaining, are discussing like ways that I used to have to basically hide the truth of even my relationships and the things that were going on behind the closed doors, because the person that I was dealing with, he knew he wasn't treating me right, but smile and put on a pretty face to the world. And heaven forbid I ever told the truth, because he knew good and full well it would paint him in a bad light, whether I've mentioned his name or not. But did he care enough to do right by me? Oh, no, no, no. But I was supposed to put on a pretty face and never tell anybody what happened. But Spirit says I have to be more transparent, because there are many others out there that are going through the same thing and need that validation to understand that they're not crazy and they're not wrong to share their stories. And you never know what thing that you're going to share that's going to help someone else. So instead of me trying to just cherry pick through the pleasant bits, they were like, no, you're going to tell your story and you're going to be real. And I want to take a moment to give a special shout out to a couple of folks in the channel. And again, thank you so much to all of the folks that are joining in recently. But I had two folks that left some really comments that really kind of touched me. One of them was William Hallman, because he was saying some of the things I was saying about calling in love. Again, I debated whether I was going to speak with any level of authority about the twin flame journey or calling in divine counterparts and all that, because again, the narcissistic folks around your life will say, well, where are you at? You ain't married, you ain't got this. And I do have a relationship. We're in separation because of our financial circumstances, but we're very much in harmony. And later this year, if all goes well, we will be in union. But I didn't want to speak about it yet until it was already a fact, it's something that was already all buttoned up. And Spirit was like, no, you gonna have to get it out the mud and build this thing from ground zero and do it publicly, transparently, because there are other folks that are walking the same path. And one of these days, once you do actually manifest this thing from nothing, folks might want to know how you did it. So guess what? You get to tell that story. And the other person, like I said, I really got some encouragement from William, because he's calling in a divine counterpart as well. So good job. Don't give up hope. Like I said, we don't have to know where it's coming from. Spirit knows. And I know for a fact in my case that my ancestors were shopping for me even before I was ready. And that's one of the reasons we've been out of union for so long, because I had to be prepared to receive that. I had no idea how much trauma I really had endured. But once that tower moment hit and I was really put into like a serious hermit mode, there were so many layers of healing. And then I really got down to the point that I had to acknowledge the relationship traumas that I had been through and heal that in order to not take that pain into another relationship, because that divine counterpart genuinely does not deserve that. They deserve a healed individual. And for the kind of relationship that I was insisting on having, because truthfully, a decade ago, I told my friends that, like I said, I'm pretty much a loner now, but at the time I still had friends and coworkers and extended, not my biological family, but people that I considered family around me. But I told my friends that I was going to shut it all the way down and enter into a period of celibacy, because I understood. I didn't completely understand law of attraction, but I felt, and what I said to them was, if I become the kind of woman that will be attractive to the kind of man that I want, he'll come. He's not going to be found on Plenty of Fish. Nothing against Plenty of Fish or any of the other sites that are out there now, but I just understood. I had done that route a little bit. I had met some friends off of there. I even gained a mentor off of one of the sites, but I never really connected with the kind of person that I could move forward in a relationship with, or the right person. And so I just told them, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not looking anymore. I'm just going to focus on becoming the kind of woman that will be attractive to the kind of man that I want. What I want is rare. So I have to become equally rare. And that's what I focused on. And to that end, I went into an extended period of celibacy. And to that end, if anybody's debating whether you're going to do that, honestly, the first 3 months are the hardest. If you can make it past 3 months, and look, all of us have made it past 3 months in a dry spell at some point or other. The difference is there's a difference in a dry spell just because you're not hooking up with somebody, you ain't actively searching or Netflixing and chilling and casually dating and all that. There's a difference in abstinence because of lack of a convenient partner and a chosen period of celibacy. And I chose celibacy for the point of healing, and I definitely don't regret that at all. I recommend that heartily to anyone because it did allow for those energetic bonds to kind of loosen, for me to see the need to break some of those bonds. And it took a while because, like I said, as kind of a person as I was and the way, the type of individuals that I was attracting, I was the one that would finally reach the point where I was realizing, like, look, I'm losing who I am as a person. I don't like where this is heading. I have to leave this because I don't like the person I'm becoming or the parent I'm becoming. So I would break things off. But because they still hanging around in that weird let's be friends thing, that energy, they just kept piling up and piling up. And I'm carrying all of these energies of these exes that didn't work out. And guess what happens when you do that? You draw the same kind of thing to you again and again. And so finally I was just like, nope, I'm shutting it all down. Like I said, I did all kinds of cord cuttings and meditations and whatever, and actually reached a point where I had to stop the friend zone thing. And truthfully, some of them I just thought had faded to black, so I didn't make a formal thing of it. But eventually they would all spin the block and try to come back around and want to talk, even if they knew they couldn't sleep with me. Still wanted to chit chat and wanted to be free to call me whenever they want to. And I had to let them know, you can no longer have access to my energy. Even the ones I had children with, we've got to part ways. If there's something that's dealing with our children, fine. If you on your deathbed and you'd like me to be at your funeral, let the kids know because they're all grown now and I'll see what I can do. But other than that, don't check on me, don't call on me, we're done. I really had to draw that firm line in the sand, and then I could begin to really start feeling an energetic move towards the things that I knew I'm supposed to do and have, including getting unstuck and moving forward with the channel. And so I just focused on that, but I was still kind of having hiccups of doubt as to, like I said, how much I was going to share and this and that. But I also had to stop and remember I dealt honestly and fairly with people even when they weren't dealing honestly and fairly with me. People been calling me Mother Teresa my whole life, and I used to be embarrassed about that. But truthfully, I don't need to be embarrassed about it because to some degree, I'm not saying that I'm equal to Mother Teresa, but kind of sort of I'm being called to walk somewhat in those footsteps. No, I'm not doing it for the church. I'm just the opposite. Like I said, I'm not Christian any longer because I understand that walk, but I most certainly have utmost love and respect for Yeshua and am walking in his footsteps to the best of my ability. And because of that, the world probably will see me as a little bit of, spiritual sister, auntie, mom, whatever they're comfortable with, I'm comfortable with. I love that now. And that leads me to my other shout out. I wanted to shout out to Anemone Dreams because she left me a beautiful message as well. She said, she paid me the highest compliment. She said that I reminded her of, of her late mother. And so I welcome it. I have no issue with that because one of the things I want each and every one of you to understand, I know I'm not perfect and I may not always have all the answers. I'm not saying that everything I'll ever say out of my mouth is going to be the absolute right thing, but I can promise you that everything I say out of my mouth on this channel will come from the deepest, most sincere place that I can find. So if I ever say anything that's wrong, it ain't going to be because I'm trying, because I set an intention to draw soul family to myself and to be a point of encouragement to that. And by soul family, like I said, I get it. I don't believe there are any accidents anywhere, ever. So the people that find me here, find me because Spirit led them here. I set that intention that I wanted to find those people and be of some benefit. I don't know what part of my story is going to benefit whom, so all I can do is tell it. Now, I ain't going to put nobody's names out there because I'm not trying to throw nobody under the bus or wind up with nothing else. I'm not trying to make anybody upset because I get it. Even the ones who caused me pain, generally, most of them, some of them, but most of them did so in ignorance from where they were along their journey as well. It's not intentional. It's just an act of selfishness out of doing them, not caring, not knowing, whatever. Because truthfully, they wind up hurting themselves even worse, because if that's one of the reasons they keep trying to double back. I've actually had some of them tell me, please don't cut me out of your life entirely. I need your energy in my life. Yes, they've actually said that to me. They need my energy. No, you don't. You're energy vampires. They need to learn how to heal so you can stop feeding off of people's energy. I've been your supply for way too long. Now my energy is better served to a community and a collective of like-minded beings that are on the path of awakening and ascension. It don't need to be to sit there and continue to feed people who want to stick around and keep dabbling in their dirt and need me as a band-aid or a relief point for the pain they're causing themselves and everybody else, because that's what it wound up being. I've spent years being an armchair psychologist and sounding board to people that did not want to do right by me, but wanted to sit back and come to me for emotional comfort for their continued poor choices after they've left me. Who does that? Well, I did until I healed and figured it out. But in any event, let me get on into these cards, because we've talked long enough about that. When I started pulling cards, like I said, I just went with where intuition took me. And I went to the Priestess of Light. And the cards that came out were Healing the Heart, the Power of Self-Love. And that's a big one for all of us. Because truthfully, we forgive everybody else when we're trying to heal and all of that. But when do you get to where you forgive yourself? And genuinely, in order to really exercise self-love, we have to get to that, to truly heal the heart. Then setting boundaries, threshold protection, honor. That's important as well, because those people aren't going to voluntarily stop. Your energy is delicious to them. Like I said, they're not going to stop because they don't know how. And especially unless or until they heal, they can't. Very often, especially imbalanced empaths, we're drawn to the people that we're drawn to because, like we talked about before, energy bandwidth, a spectrum. The victim and the perpetrator are in the same bandwidth, just at opposite ends of the spectrum. So if you are an imbalanced empath, you're probably going to wind up drawing people, if they're not outright narcissists, some folks with some pretty narcissistic, sociopathic tendencies, because they've used up all their energy. They don't have inner personalities or energy of their own. And empaths want to fix everything. And it's a lot of women out there, I call it stray puppy syndrome, always wanting to fix and patch up on something. Yeah, did that too. But we got to find balance here, stability, standing firm. And then the energy of the Divine Mother came out here, nurturing, compassion, and grace. And while many of us carry this energy towards other people, we need to welcome and allow and understand this energy coming towards us to heal and help us as well. Stop giving away all of that. Then I had Wings of Light, becoming something new. And for sure, I can tell you, like I said, I know I became something new. Not that I was ever a bad person, but when you're tossed out in the world with no support system and you're in a masculine world, and especially when you got to get out there and do what you got to do and hustle to try to keep a roof overhead and the lights on for your kids and all of that, you wind up in an imbalanced, toxic, masculine energy yourself. There's a lot of women, especially in America, that do not understand. They want men and they seeing these alpha red pill, whatever folks around, but they don't even understand. Women that spend a lot of time clawing their way around corporate America, they can dress as however feminine or sexy they want to, but their energy becomes masculine in nature, and it is not conducive to a divine feminine finding the love relationship that she wants. It's just not. But in this healing, River of Blessings came out, releasing constraints, and that allows the blessings to come in. And then the next deck I was drawn to was the Ancient Stones, and from that deck, creativity, creative expression, trust your vision came, which gave me some confirmation and validation about what I'm doing here now. Like I said, I'm at the point now that I'm going to have to go back into corporate America for a little while until I can get, some spiritual business things in place. But the vision, I work for you all now. I work for Spirit. This is my job. So I look at it as such. I gotta come down here. I'm going to work. I don't work a 9 to 5 because it's not like that. But I do understand that consistency is key, because especially as the collective grows, it's not for me to decide who the messages are for. It's just for me to sit down here and give them. Live the question, curiosity, open your mind and live into it. That's, like I said, right along that same theme. Hidden treasure, you're on the right track. Gift revealed. I'm not going to say I didn't want to. I didn't understand when I was first drawn to tarot that was something that I was, it truly is a gift. It helped with my personal healing. But I do understand when I was watching other tarot readers how much benefit I got from it, especially if I was led to a reading and it was a particularly resonant one. And I really understand that those brothers and sisters are channeling spirit. And it's almost like the old-fashioned telephone operators, switchboard operators. I put the message down here, whether it's going to resonate with somebody today or next month or next year. Again, not my business. All I have to do is come in here and give it. And then we have Stone of Destiny, life path, ambition, passion. Yes. A big yes coming straight from Spirit. Returning, spiral journey, growth, renewal, healed. And then the final one that came out of that deck is the Kalich, elder, teacher, wise one, experience. And I've had people many times tell me that, they appreciate my wisdom and I help them understand. And I don't say that. Acknowledge wisdom as a point of bragging. Wisdom, especially in my case, was very hard earned, painfully earned. But once I got it, I do understand that it is something that can benefit others. If it can help even one person not go through the hell I went through, then it's my responsibility to share that wisdom with people. So I gladly do so. Then I went to the Cosmic Journey, and again, like I said, this deck, I haven't used this deck in well over a year. I'm not even sure I ever used it on the channel, maybe once or twice. But what came out of it was each evolutionary turn requires you to give up who you think you are. Because again, you're becoming someone else anyway. You're rebirthing. And who you think you are is what leaves us sitting in that point of pain and wondering and regret and you could have been, could have, would have, should have, all those other things. We got to let go of that. Now, this one, yeah, it says, at this threshold you have now come to, you must give up what you thought you were so that you can move into who you truly are. Each and every turn on the evolutionary spiral requires you to fully step into another level of creation to usher in what's next. A step on the spiral might sometimes feel like a step backward, but there is only perfect progress on your pathless path as you surrender. Your identity is so deeply rooted in your roles, your car, your place in society, your bank account, your profession, all of it. It's time to shed your skin. Each turn has its own perils and rewards, both easier and harder every time. Harder to give up what came before, but easier because you know what's coming, your next leap into galactic emergence. And in my case, I didn't have no choice because, like I said, when the tower hit, I was stripped of all of it overnight, everything. My life was stripped down to about 2 suitcases and 2 storage totes overnight. Lost everything, the money, all of it. So I understood that I would have to literally rebuild everything. So at that point, I decided to sit down and take a time out and figure out how to rebuild something completely different, to go in a different direction so that I didn't have to cross that road again. It's since you can, like you said, if you got to manifest it, you might as well manifest what you want instead of continuing to regurgitate the same old, same old. I've had enough of that. Absolutely had enough of that. And then the next card that came out was 3, 2, 1, jump. Love that card. I love that card. It's the first card in this deck. And it says, how many times have you been just at the edge but then turn around? Have you ever been in a situation similar to the one you're faced with now? Perhaps it seems scary only because you think you don't have a net. Do you believe your wings will appear when you leap? If only you knew then what you know now. You have so many unseen cheerleaders rooting for you. The countdown is on. 3, 2, 1, jump. And then they ask, what am I standing on the precipice of? What will it take for me to finally jump? And oddly enough, even though I hadn't used this deck in forever, I used to think about my situation and liken it to standing at the edge of the pool, kind of dragging your toe in the water but still afraid to jump in, and like, you're never going to learn to swim if you don't actually get in the pool. So yeah, we gotta jump, y'all. And I'm saying that this was my personal spread, but I'm sharing it because I know there's somebody out there, probably you, that resonates a little bit with. So yeah, it's getting on that time to go. Deliver your greatest gift to the world, and that is card 10. Go ahead. The world is ready for you, the real you, the true and authentic you that you've been hiding somewhere because someone once told you it's okay to not be fully seen. There's no reward for being falsely humble. Your brilliance and luminosity don't diminish the light of anyone else. It only gives others permission to come forward fully too. Life simply wants more life. Your role is to become the fullest expression of the life you've been blessed with in your playful purpose here, now. Then it asks us to stop and think, when and why did I first diminish my light? Who played a role knowingly or unknowingly in diminishing it? And at this point, when I'm reading, that's why I stopped to read these, because I did go back and look at all the other ones wasn't necessary for the book readings, but this really made me feel like spirit was like drilling down, especially after I was sitting there dealing with the trolls from yesterday and all of that stuff, and then hearing the conversation with my daughter and all that. It was like spirit was giving me a big hug and a big up but it was also saying that somebody in the collective can benefit from it too. So yeah, deliver your greatest gift to the world. Also, your words create worlds. And that is so, so, so true. And we've been talking about that, learning to say it differently, learning to rewrite your, or to write your future by rewriting your past by what you allow or disallow out of your mouth. Excuse me. Your words are the magic spell that builds stories that either serve you or muffle your dreams. What words are you speaking forth into the world at this moment? Listen carefully to those around you. What do you hear? Our language determines what we believe is possible or impossible. Our words truly create worlds. Slow down to bring your awareness to what you're truly saying in conversations with others and with yourself internally. Before you try something, are your words about it empowering, or are you already down and defeated? By drawing this card, you are now free from all old stories you've been told by others, no matter how well-meaning they've been. You are released and free to use the language of creation and conception. This is something that has haunted me for a long, long time. Even before my family completely cut ties with me, I had one sister, she's transitioned now, but she was like my biggest fan and biggest cheerleader, and she would always tell me I was like a cat. No matter what happened, I would always land on my feet. And yet I had another sister, my middle sister, no matter what idea I came up with, she'd always have some kind of idea why in her experience it would not work. And to that day, that sister is still living, but has been literally battling depression and hoarding and everything else for like 40 years in a prison of her own mind. And yeah, I mean, she's done some things, and she got a husband, and she's got whatever to a degree, but always slightly more negative than positive. And I wonder what kind of life she could have lived if she had just been able to stop complaining and criticizing everything, herself and others included. So yeah, we got to be more careful about this. We are powerful creators. Next card was Memento Mori. There may not be a someday. So that kind of goes along with that 3, 2, 1 jump. The time is now. As my friend Sam Horn proclaimed in the title of her recent book, someday is not a day in the week. The time is now. Imagine if the unknown countdown time to our expiration date was almost at 0. What would you be doing now that's different? How would you want this situation to unfold? One day the sand in our cosmic hourglass will be gone, and then what will you ask for? More time? Sorry, you had it all along, but what would you do with it? The moments, the days, the weeks, the years, what have you done with your short sojourn here? The clock has struck the exact hour to act. Go. So, ain't no point in continuing to lament and fret over what you didn't do. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Like I said, let's make it a good one. It's time. It's go time. A light grows brighter only by lighting another. You've come to your next turn on the evolutionary spiral. Remember, we started with the spiral? Your growth in each area of your life is ready to be significantly accelerated by lighting another light. You cannot diminish your light by lighting another. It only grows brighter and brighter. Perhaps what you need to learn most is what you're meant to be teaching right now. This gives you more space to move on to what's next for you. Even if you don't think you're an expert or an authority, you're wiser than you've given yourself credit for. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. And this is something that goes back to a conversation that I had with someone years ago, literally like 4 years ago. And she was saying, you need to teach. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be completely ready. All you got to do is know a little bit more than the folks that you're sharing with. And I got that part. I still had some further healing that I felt like I needed to do. And like I said, I sat on the edge of the pool until Spirit finally was like, look, If you don't get in there, you're going to have a Jonah moment. We're going to push your ass in the pool. So I finally got with it. I'm here now. I'm here. Like I said, I can't sit back and regret. Yes, of course, I wish I had done it before, but I had to do it when I was able. So here we are. And finally, out of this deck, the final card from this deck was Soul Giraffe. Attributes, vision, grace, higher vantage, seeing obstacles. The Soul Giraffe is here to help you with your grander vision, to allow you to see higher and farther. The long neck of the Soul Giraffe gives you an elevated view of what's on the horizon, as well as another vantage point of the big picture. We're also reminded that perhaps we cannot label something as good or bad, right or wrong, unless we see the full picture. The giraffe gracefully glides along the path, spotting what others cannot. Blessing into lessons. Taking you, like I said, when you get the big picture thing, sometimes those folks that triggered you the most were just part of your spiritual extraction team to get you to move before we even knew what was going on. Yeah. Then like I said, I couldn't help it. I look, it is what it is, and these were my cards, so it is, but I'm happy to share them. So I appreciate your patience with me. I realize that this message got a little longer because of the front end, but I feel like it's all relevant. I pulled from the fairies, and we have the Lady of the Harvest, and that is card 18, and I'm not going to read all of these, just the basic meanings for them so we can understand. Like I said, I had to get this message like I got it. The meaning of this card: it's time to accept change, to move on to the next phase. Oh, I had to make sure she won't naked because a lot of fairies are. Power and strength in the present and future come from releasing the past. This is a time of liberation, and we might as well cooperate with it. It will happen whether we want it to or not. Release and liberation may be painful or joyful depending on the circumstances. Cry if you need to, be joyful if you feel that's appropriate. But in either case, trust the process, acknowledge what you feel, and prepare to move on. And then we had the fairy godmother, and I love that. She often comes out for me when I work with this deck, and I love that. Sari. Sari offers last-minute rescues. When she turns up in our readings, good things may well be happening that we don't think we deserve, or that we do deserve but haven't thought to ask for. Almost imperceptibly, she teaches us about giving and receiving unconditionally, helping us to open our hearts to love and acceptance. She sometimes showers us with abundance. Keep an eye out for unexpected good fortune, especially when you thought you saw bad luck headed your way. Remembering to say thank you by passing a kindness on to someone else. Practice a little fairy godmothering yourself and see how enjoyable it is. Part of the fun of it is to do it so that the recipient doesn't know where the gift came from. So just paying it forward. And then we have 35, which is the fawn. And this is natural wisdom, natural magic. Natural magic is happening when things flow almost effortlessly. When things flow almost effortlessly, that is a sign that natural magic is at work. Enjoy it. A very important part of natural magic is simply allowing the energy to flow through us. This means both giving and receiving freely. Let the energy flow. Don't push it. Don't try to control it. Just dance with it. Trust it. And remember to keep returning to the source for inspiration and to keep your heart filled with light. And that's something that I had to really, really drill down with, especially with the channel. I literally spent months in my head. I would hear things that I would want to say, imagine myself making a video, all the rest of that, but somehow it wasn't coming out my mouth. I wasn't even sitting down taking notes about it. I'm sitting out there in meditation and still wasn't managing to turn on the camera because in my mind it needed to be perfect and I need to learn how to edit and I got to this and I got spirit was finally like, no, you just need to show up. You don't worry about all of that. And it doesn't have to be what the folks, all of the tutors and the this and the that on YouTube tell you. You got to do this to get the algorithm, and forget the algorithm. That'll come later. Forget all of that. You just do what we told you to do, and the people that need to hear it will come. It will happen if you just obey. So just let it happen naturally. And I'm grateful now that I did because, like I said, once I got over myself and decided it is what it is, just like I said, just obey, you're here. I can't ask for anything more than that, really. Sylvanus came up next. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hold on a second. This looks weird, and I just realized what it probably looks like on camera. This is clove water with some milk thistle. Clove water is good for like inflammation and cleansing the liver, detox, and all that good stuff. Check it out if you haven't. Somebody might need to know that too. Sylvanus, though, let me see, is truth, cutting through deception and clarity. At this time, you're discovering new truths. Oh, yeah, she got clothes on. New truths about yourself. They're essential for you to know in order to create relationships based on mutual respect, affection, and trust. These things can only work if we see ourselves and others as we are. Currently, both fairy and this world are functioning as a giant mirror in which we see ourselves in many surprising ways. People tend to dread this because we assume that we are worse than we think we are, but this is far from necessarily true. Now is a time for finding out false and misleading beliefs that you have accepted and discovering that you are a better person than you thought and have the potential to accomplish more than you believed you could. If someone says you're better or simply different than you think you are, don't automatically reject this. Think it over carefully. You have more to give and more to enjoy than you've been giving yourself credit for. This was huge for me. Like I said, I had several people telling me you should write, you should speak, you should teach. A close girlfriend of mine, we're not super close anymore, but at one time we were. And I met her through a mutual acquaintance, but she was like, every time I talk to you, I learn something new. Every time I talk to you, I'm uplifted. You really need to speak. You need to do this. But I was like, no, they're telling you the truth. Stop discounting yourself because that one little niggling, whoever put that trauma response in your head 100 years ago, listen to the ones that are telling you the right thing. You have more to offer than you know. And you're more ready, I guess, than you know as well. A lot of times it's just getting over our fears. And like I said, I say getting over yourself sounds like that sounds harsh, but we have to get over our fear, our self-doubt, our imposter syndrome, all the rest of that. And oftentimes, getting over not only fear of failure, but fear of success. Because you've seen how this thing could play out. You just didn't dare to believe that it would play out that way for you. You hold on to the negative instead. Time is over for that. We have experienced a serious timeline shift, quantum jumps, all the rest of that. You're going to find that manifestations are more cooperative now if we allow them. Penelope the Dreamweaver. Penelope Dreamweaver is here. Okay, I'm glad that all of these got clothes on or didn't need clothes, because like I say, with the fairies, it's a toss-up. But yeah, this is inspiration, magical dreams, and visions. Seek visions and inspiration. Be aware that they are often subtle and require close attention. Fantasies, dreams, and daydreams are all places an inspiration fairy can contact us, but she can also pop up unannounced in the midst of the most ordinary of activities, in the bath, washing the dishes, driving the car, or anywhere else that our mind is half occupied and half running on idle. Pay special attention to unsought inspirations at this time. They have something wonderful to offer you, but it is up to you to catch them and bring them into reality. If you're able to, start keeping a little notebook around you, especially by your bed when you wake up. Keep one around you in the house. If you're out and about and don't necessarily have the ability to carry a notebook with you, you got a phone on you. If you get an idea that comes through, please don't assume that you're not going to forget. Open that notepad and jot down a little bit so that you can come back to it later and expound on it. Can't tell you how many times that I did not follow that advice and the thoughts skittered away. Now, hopefully, if it's something that Spirit really needed me to know, it'll come back. But how much better off would I have been if I had just taken a moment to jot down a few words so that I make sure I don't forget? And then the last card out of the fairies is Unity. And I love these. Let me see. Union, mystical experience, spiritual home. When this card comes up in a reading, it's asking us to remember the mystical concept that we are all one, unified in a holistic universe. It reminds us to look at the needs and goals we have in common with others and to seek cooperation and community action rather than attempting to do everything on our own. To achieve our goals, we need the active cooperation of others, and to get that cooperation, we must be helpful to them and willing to work with their ideas as well as our own. It suggests that we think of things in terms of equal partnerships rather than in lines of hierarchical authority. Unity also tells us that we have much to gain by remembering our own wholeness. Resolution of inner conflict is often necessary before we move ahead. It's important at this time that we work toward cooperation and reconciliation within and without. Seek the highest good of all involved and not merely your idea of highest good. Ask for the divine energy of unity to permeate and guide you. This card was especially important for me as relating to this channel because, again, I knew and understood that the things that I've been shown in meditation, the way things could progress, not just to help me, but to help others. And ultimately, I used to think of it as a social experiment. When the time comes and the money lines up and all the rest of that, I think you'll understand more of what I'm talking about. I can't outline all of the details right now because it is something that I really don't need anybody sending haterade to kind of stay. Not saying that you would, but I'm just saying I know there's some folks in the background of my life that would energetically put a stick in the spokes of the wheel. But unity is super important because I'm aware that what I'm being called to do is going to involve a large team of cooperative components. That's one of the reasons, one of the things that I knew I would get out of this channel and other platforms as I could grow and expand. Not initially, like I said, the first part is paying dues. I'm doing the work without worrying about money or anything else because that's from my heart space. But when the time comes, as people understand me doing this part of the work, they will begin to know and understand and believe who I am. And when it's time to step into those other aspects of the work, they'll want to lend their energetic and financial support to it. Because it's not just for me, it's for a massive amount of us together. That's why I wanted to call in Soul Family. I am my brother's keeper. And we have to help each other. That's the only way we're going to survive this nonsense that's happening now, y'all, for real. We really going to have to stop buying into the world's notion of being an island. Like they said, no man is an island. But we've been kind of sort of taught to do that, selfishly sequester. It's a dog eat dog world. I got to get mine and hold on. I'm not saying don't take care of ourselves, but the best way to receive more is to open your hand. You can't receive anything in a closed fist. You can't. So as we begin to grow and expand in love and reach out to help others, Spirit will put it down. Like I said, pressed down, shaken, and overflowing. But you have to open yourself to it. Now, I actually did pull some tarot, and I'm going to lay these side by side because I pulled from two decks, like one and then another to clarify. But it was so interesting. Let me do it this way. I started out here with the Hangman and the Seven of Wands. Now, the Hangman or the Hanged One in this deck is all about finding a new perspective, learning to look at it differently, but it's tempered with knowing the fact that there will be some haters, there will be a need to kind of stand your ground. The Seven of Wands in the traditional tarot, or I love it in the Light Seers because it literally shows her sitting on a pillow above the fray, and the Seven of Wands are coming from below. This is a little different. It's showing the dragon coming from above, but still the idea is the dragon is coming, breathing fire from above, but he's shielded, very much so. So, yeah, when you do put yourself out there and learn to look at it differently and wanting to move out into purpose, you can expect some folks ain't gonna like it. Like I said, if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing it right, but you will overcome. And then I had the Moon and the Six of Pentacles. Don't see it yet, but this energy is something that's hidden, but it's not entirely hidden, especially if you're in High Priestess energy or Hierophant energy. You kind of sort of know what's coming towards you. And the Six of Pentacles is reciprocity. It's give and take. It's being able to help your fellow man. It's humanitarianism, quite honestly. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands in the traditional tarot, they call it the 1111 card, or like the twin flame union. It's like marriage, cooperation, happiness, all the rest of that. And here they are, they're heading out towards the ocean together. They look pretty resplendent in their garments. They're not struggling, they're pretty happy together. And this Ace of Pentacles is a gift. It's a monetary gift or of support from the divine. So it's coming. Then the Nine of Water in this deck, or the Nine of Cups. That's about personal satisfaction and fulfillment. See how heavy this net is coming in? It's, like I said, it's a wonder. Don't pull that boat over. This is a beautiful, healthy harvest with the Wheel of Fortune. You've done the work. The harvest is on its way in. You're at the top of this wheel. It's Dharma season about to step up. And guess what? Two of Wands. It's on the way. Cooperative components, but also looking for those ships to come in. It is in motion. And that came with the Star. As above, so below. Balance is here, and that energetic support is here with it. Then we have Shango, and he is not only a warrior, he does support divine, cooperative, beautiful relationships. Like I said, a beautiful, loving partner relationship that came with the Lovers. So, and I mean, I am manifesting love, but the Lovers is also about cooperative partnerships, not always just romantic, but it can be romantic too. But yeah. And this particular deck, the Night Wait deck that I'm pulling from, actually has 3 Lovers cards in it, and I love the fact that another set of Lovers came out right behind it with, let me cover him, with the Man. And in this deck, this is like star energy. So the Star has come out twice, and the Lovers have come out twice, in close proximity to each other. It don't get much better than that. Oh, but yeah, it do. Because I got the Ace of Cups here and the Ace of Wands. Yeah. And the Ace of Pentacles already came out too. All I'd be needing here is the Ace of Swords. But the one, typically in a reading, if you got 3 suits or 3 trumps, the one that doesn't show speaks even more loudly. So truthfully, they're all kind of represented here, but I love that. Then there is the Nine of Pentacles, and this is luxury, opulence, wealth, along with the Three of Cups, that emotional fulfillment, cooperation, and celebration. And the Ten of Pentacles came along here with the Tower. And again, I've had towers in my life. This is not a bad tower. And truthfully, most towers aren't bad, because the tower represents spirit kind of tearing something down so it can build something else. But if you'll notice, they're outside of the tower. They get rescued. When the tower crumbles, it doesn't crumble with them in it. They're out of it. And of course, the Ten of Cups is emotional fulfillment. And here is showing literally like a harvest of fish. And then have the Ace of Pentacles again, the Ace of Earth, along with Temperance. I especially appreciate that, because the things that I'm speaking about and being called to do, there's a little bit of concern about who's not going to like it or any of the rest of those things. And it's almost like Spirit is saying, don't worry about that. The Temperance card signifies like Archangel Chamuel. But basically, the energy of Chamuel is tempering the energy of Samael. So there's going to be some folks that might not like it, even some negative forces, those powers and principalities. But the divine is saying, don't worry about it. We're going to hold the devil at bay. You just do what you got to do. And then another 10, the 10 of Pentacles. This is sure enough the harvest. And I'm just realizing, because I had pulled these separately, I hadn't laid them out together. Double 10 of Pentacles. Wow. If that's not a yes from Spirit, I've never seen one. And then why? And the Six of Wands is success with notoriety. This will be done in the public eye. It's going to bring some manner of public notice. But that's what I asked for, not for the sake of notoriety. I don't care nothing about being a star. In fact, I wanted to stay out of the public eye. But Spirit was like, no, what you gonna do in order to get the financial backing that you need, you're gonna have to be in the public eye, because there are cooperative components, benefactors out there that will want to see and be involved in what you're doing, but they ain't gonna know if you don't get out there and show them. Fair enough. Why? It's part of your spiritual journey, the Fool. So that was the reading, and I was like floored by it when I saw it. Like I said, I didn't even lay them out together to see that double 10 of Pentacles there, but now that I do, I'm super glad that I shared that, because I know that I was inspired to share this reading with you, because there's someone out there in the collective, hopefully a bunch of somebodies, that will resonate with this as well, because it was a beautiful reading. But yeah, it's time for us to continue healing and growing and get ready, because it's go time, y'all. It really, really is. I don't know where the money coming from yet either, but guess what? That ain't my place to know. All we got to do is keep doing what we're doing and keep showing up, and Spirit is going to pave the way. Is paving the way. But that's what I have for you now. I'm going to close this out here. And I do have some cards that I am going to pull for the collective. I got a couple of readings on deck, a love reading and a general reading that I've already cleansed and pre-shuffled the cards for. So those will be coming up next as well. Definitely be on the lookout for those. And we will be getting further into the Enuma Elish today. So be on the lookout for that as well. Until later on, folks, peace and blessings to you. I love you, and thank you for sharing this time with me today. Namaste.